Hey everybody, this is Tony Dodd. I wanted to share some dreams from the Lord that I received back in 2020. Of course, I've have records of these dreams, and actually, um, whenever they occurred, I wrote them down or put them in a place where I could have access to them later. But these dreams occurred after a 3-day fast, just drinking water, that was it, fasting for 3 days, praying, seeking God. And the dreams took place over about a year's worth of time. But in early 2020, shortly before the COVID-19 hit, um, God gave me the first of the dreams. And actually, in the first dream, it was a dream about my sister and about her having a divorce, a breakup with her husband, that it would end the relationship. And actually, I had this dream before anyone knew that it was actually going to take place. Um, if you want to hear the specifics of this particular dream and a few others, you can go to my website, tonydodd.org, and get a free copy of my book, Prophecies, Visions, and Dreams. But the second dream was actually about Perry Stone, who's a well-known Christian evangelist. And in this dream, I had the dream was concerning his fall and his fall in ministry, which actually took place about a month later, or a couple of months later after I had the dream. In the dream, it just showed me, God showed me where he was going to. His foundation was not a good foundation, and that there would be some kind of trouble in his ministry. And you can look it up online or whatever to verify that in 2020 he did have a fall in his ministry. Hopefully since that time he has been restored, so this is not necessarily about Perry or looking down on him for that reason, but just the fact, the reality, God gave me that. And I believe that he did because he was showing me some things that were going to come to pass. And the third dream that I had was about President Trump. And I would have to ask you at this point in time, of course, we're in 2023 now, late 2023, who do you think is going to win the presidency in 2024? Well, I believe these dreams that God gave me were kind of pointing to that. But in this dream that God gave me, the first dream about President Trump, I was actually, I saw President Trump in two different scenes. In the first scene, he was in, looked like a luscious green area, almost like the lawn on the White House. Him and Melania were sitting on the grass, and that there was a German Shepherd with them. And that was it. That's pretty much all that I saw. He looked to be in good spirits in the dream. They were smiling, and this dog was just with him. It just kind of seemed out of the ordinary. In the next scene of the dream, President Trump was standing, and in this occasion, he was with Melania Trump, his wife, and they were dressed presidential. He looked like the President of the United States and dressed like the President of the United States, and Melania also. And in this dream, I was looking at him from kind of a side perspective, and I was thinking that I was standing there with them on the grass, looking at them, viewing them at the moment. And in the dream, I turned to my right, and I realized that I'm in the kitchen of my home, and my wife is standing beside me. And I said to her, you think I should give him a call, like call him on the phone? Don't know why I said that in the dream, but that's what I said. And then I thought to myself, well, how can I? I don't have his number, I said to her. And she looked at me and she said, hold on a minute. And in the dream, I'm thinking, well, she's going to talk to some people because that's the way she was acting. And in the dream, she walks away, and then she comes back and she says, we've got his number. And she was referring to the people that she had just spoken to. The interesting detail here is that my wife is Hispanic. So I really felt like the interpretation of that dream, the ending part of the dream, was that President Trump, in the upcoming election, which really I thought it was going to be for the 2020 election, but for the 2024 election is going to get a greater support from the Hispanic community and even maybe the minority community in general, Hispanics and blacks and so on. And going back to the first scene of the movie was that, President Trump was there with Melania, seated on the White House lawn, it looked like, and a German Shepherd was with him. Maybe that German Shepherd represented the Biden presidency, I don't know. A lot of times you read about dreams in the Bible, and they are predictive in nature. There's some symbolism associated with some of the pictures that you get or that the prophets got. And really you didn't know the full meaning of the dream until actually after the circumstances surrounding the dream or what it was depicting came to pass. So dreams can be prophetic in nature, and I believe they are. And I believe that this dream in particular was. Well, of course, after the 2020 election, we realized that Donald Trump was not elected president of the United States and that Joe Biden was. Well, I also had a couple of dreams during that time as well, in between that intermission of early January and November. So November 2020 to January of 2021. So one of the other dreams that I had was in one of the dreams, I was standing in the White House and President Trump walked by me. And it looked like he was walking to the Oval Office, I believe. And I turned to him and watched him walk down the hallway, and I called out to him and I said, "President Trump, do not concede." And he turned around and he just kind of looked at me with a blank stare on his face. And then I said it again in the dream, "Do not concede." And from his facial expressions, it looked as though that it was registering with him. And then finally in the dream, I said one more time, "Do not concede." And this look of like resolution, like determination came over his face. And this was, he never has conceded since that moment. All the way up until this day, President Trump has never conceded his loss in the 2020 election, like it or not, but that's the reality and that's the truth. So that was another dream that I had in December of 2020. Also, another dream that I had around about that time was that in this dream I was standing in looked like an amphitheater, or maybe it was part theater, part almost like going to view in SeaWorld, where you have like a tank that's underground and you can view it from the side. You can look through the glass and see the different sea creatures. But in this particular dream, I was looking at President Trump and his administration. So it was him and people in his administration. I couldn't make out particular individuals, but they were all turned upside down in their chairs and desks, and things were kind of like suspended in the air, just kind of like a picture. And to me in the dream was that it was a picture of his presidency and how it was underwater. And also in the dream, there were investigators running around this theater trying to figure out what had happened to President Trump. There was an investigation. Almost looked like the FBI or something like that was investigating, or maybe some other law enforcement agency. But nothing was found. And in the dream, I was thinking, wow, they can't find anything. And then all of a sudden I turned to the right and I said, well, I'm going to go look and do some investigating myself. So I walk out of the amphitheater down into a little corridor or a hallway, and I turn to my left and I open up a door. And as I open up the door, I see someone seated in the darkness. And whenever I opened the door, the light shined in, and it was somebody that was on a laptop, and they were typing away. And then I was thinking in the dream, it's like, here's the evidence. Here's what we need to find. This is what they are missing. And then so I shut the door and I left, and I go out, and my wife is there, and I'm talking to her, and I'm back in the theater part, and I'm telling her about what I found. And all of a sudden there's gunfire and there's like a battle going on. So we're like panicking and trying to get out of there. So we finally, make our way out, and we leave that room, and we leave that building, and all of a sudden I'm in the courtyard of my local church, and there's one of the members of my church there, and I walk up to him and I was like, where's everybody at? He's like down away from the church, in an area kind of, you can see the parking lot and the church, the building up there. And I said, "Where's everyone out? What's going on?" And he's like, "Well, there's been a death." And I look down and I see that I've got just regular clothes on. I've got like a shirt, a t-shirt, shorts, shoes. And I think in the dream, I'm thinking, wow, I feel like, I'm dressed inappropriately. And in the dream, I'm thinking, what happened? What's going on? Why is this death? And I felt like that in my dream, that there was not an appropriate response to what was going, and maybe on what I had seen with President Trump's loss in the 2020 election and his administration being upside down, that it sunk, that he was shipwrecked, you might say. And I think it kind of related to that part of the dream, was what was my response, or maybe the response of the church, and how should we react to the death of this administration at the moment. And it wasn't appropriate, I don't believe. And maybe I was representing the church. Okay, so that dream ended, and of course, I've just shared it with you. And then I had one final dream around about that time, and then another dream of just a little bit later, but before Joe Biden was inaugurated as the president in January of 2021. So I think we're still in late December. But in this dream, I'm in a bed, I'm in a bed, and it's like a mattress, and it's laid out in like an open area, not like a field, but not like a grassy field, like a dry, dusty field in a desert or something like that. And in this bed, I'm there, and then Joe Biden is seated there as well, and Obama is right behind him. And I'm just getting this uneasy feeling about being in this situation. So I turn to get up, and I'm kind of like crawling towards the edge, and then there's someone walking down the hill, and in the dream, I know that it's a reporter. And I get to the edge of this mattress, this bed, to get up, and she asked me, "Well, what's going on? What's happening here?" And I said, "This feels like an uncomfortable, abusive situation." And the reporter in the dream just totally ignored me, would not even listen to anything that I said. It was like this reporter wasn't going to report anything. She didn't believe me. And then the dream ended at that point. And later on, as I thought about the dream, and even as the years have gone by thus far, I kind of see this working out, that this current administration, President Joe Biden, is that he's abused the American people. But from what this dream was showing me was that the people, maybe I represented the people, or some faction of people that would get up out of this bed of abuse. And although we would be talking about it, the media wouldn't be reporting it, that the people would still get up and recognize what's going on. So that's one other part of the dream that I had. And then I think it was, I can't remember for sure when Trump announced that he was going to be running for president again. Maybe it was this year, earlier this year, or back in the summer. But it was just like a week or two before he made his announcement that he would be running for re-election. I think it may have been in the spring or something. It was just a week or two. I had a dream, and in this dream, I was standing on a highway. And President Trump come walking down the highway, and he came up and shook my hand, and he was smiling, he was waving at everybody. And then, of course, the dream ended, and I thought about it and wrote it down. And then a week or so later, he announces his presidency. So it was like the Lord telling me that, just giving me confirmation that God is still working in this situation, showing me things, and maybe, just maybe, if I seek the Lord and fast and pray, right? The Lord will show me a little bit more. But I really think that all of what this is pointing to, going all the way back to the time that first dream about Trump, where he's standing in that second scene, him and Melania looking presidential, that somehow God is going to, and I think God is just showing me the details of what was going to transpire in a symbolic way leading up to this presidential race in 2024. So some of you may want to hear this or like to hear this, and some of you may not be wanting to hear that, but we know that God is in control and God has his own plans and he can use the people. I, for one, have not been very happy with this most recent presidential cabinet that we've had in President Biden, and the things that's been going on at the border, the things that's been going on in this country and how it's affected the people. But thank you for taking the time and the opportunity, 15 plus minutes to listen. If you did, you made it through. God bless you. It's around Thanksgiving, close to it, so hope you have a happy Thanksgiving. Amen.